Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. It is Ficus Friday today. It's also going to rain. The day started off sunny and warm, but now it's cooling down, the wind's picking up, and we're expecting rain. My rain barrel is getting close to being half full or half empty. So this morning I went up on the ladder, up on the roof here. I brushed the roof off, cleaned the eaves troughs so I can collect as much rainwater tonight as possible. Here comes the rain. I can hear it coming down now. So today is Ficus Friday. I've got to pick out a ficus and work on it today, so I'll do that now. Today I'm going to be working on a smaller tree, my Tiger Bark Ficus microcarpa. The one that kind of looks like an elephant. It's not meant to look like an elephant, but it sort of does. In the last video I pruned the tree back, and now it's grown new branches and needs pruning and branch selection once again. The tree is planted in a 3D printed pot. The plastic that was used is ColorFab's N-Gen plastic, and it stood up really, really well. I think it's going on at least 5 years old now. And it's still as strong and good looking as the day it was printed. The tree is planted over a cement rock that I made. I got a sponge and impregnated the sponge with cement and then did some sculpting on the outside, and it makes quite a convincing stone. I thought about removing it from this stone and putting it on a real stone, but I thought this one looks fine, and it's lighter than a conventional stone. The whole planting doesn't weigh all that much, which is always an added bonus. So today I'm going to be selecting branches on this. You can see it after the last pruning, it kind of exploded with new branches. So there's a lot of multiple branches coming from one spot. There's 2 or 3 coming from here, a couple here, and a whole bunch from the top. So I need to do some branch selection. If you look at the trunk line of this tree, it's highly tapered. It starts off thick at the base and it tapers very quickly in a short period of time as it gets up towards the top. It is also a very curvy trunk, so the curves start off quite gradual, and then as it tapers down the thickness, these curves tighten up and tighten up. You'll hear many bonsai people that will tell you, develop the trunk line first, then develop the primary branches, then the secondary branches, then the tertiary branches. I think the trunk line is well developed on this tree. I think it's a good looking trunk line. It has lots of character, lots of taper, and lots of movement. So now I want to begin developing branches. On a curvy tree like this, the branches are usually developed on the outsides of curves. So maybe keeping one on the outside of this curve, one on the outside of this curve, maybe one on the outside of this curve, and then continuing the trunk line up. I don't have anything growing out of the curve here, but that can be the trunk, and then the branching could start up a little higher. So I don't want these branches up here, so I'll prune these ones off. So here I go. And there's one out the back. I'll prune that one off also. Like that. The branches that come out here, I've got 4 actually coming from kind of the same level. And I have to pick which one I want to keep. I think this one here is definitely too far on the front of the tree. I think you want the trunk line to be out front and maybe the branch either even with it or slightly behind. So I'm going to take this one out. I don't think this is a good possibility. So that one's coming off. That leaves me with 3. I think the one out the back is too extreme. You don't even see it much from the front. So that one is coming off right here. That one's off. That leaves me with a choice of 2. So I have one coming out the front and one coming out the back. Now, this is a difficult choice. You always want some dimensionality in the tree, so you don't want it to be flat in one plane. So if you go to the side view, I don't want all my branches in line with the trunk, or it's a very two-dimensional tree. So I think the one out front is the one I'm leaning towards because it does give some depth to the tree. The other one is almost in line with the trunk, and it makes a very 2D tree. So I'm going to choose this one and prune off the other one. So off it comes. Then I want to shorten this one coming out the front, so I'm picking a leaf that's facing downwards and I'll prune it off right here, like that, shortening it. So that's got one branch selected. Now if I come up here, here's the outside of a curve again, and again I have one that's in line with the tree, so I'm going to eliminate that one. I don't want a branch that's in line. I have one coming out to the front. I have one that's going right skyward. I'll take that one out. I don't think that's a good possibility. It's too vertical. I think this one is also too vertical. I'm going to take it out. Like that. That leaves me with two. I think this back one is too extreme. I think this one comes out nice. Well, maybe it's not. This one is more vigorous. I'll take the thinner one out. They're so close to each other that it doesn't really matter which one I pick here, but I might as well take the more vigorous one. And then I will also prune this one back, shortening it a bit. So there's two branches selected. Now I'm coming up here. So the S-bend, it comes out to the right, goes vertical, snakes back to the right again, and then I want the trunk line to go vertical. So I think the natural leader would be this one right here. Or I guess this one here too. This one, that original one I picked, is right in line with the trunk, so I'm going to take that one out. It's too in line. I want some movement here. So this will be my new leader, this one. I think. Yeah. This one that comes off to the right-hand side isn't a good continuation of the trunk line, so I'm going to remove it. So that's gone. And also this one. Well, let me think here. It curves up again. I could pick this as the continuation of the trunk line, removing this one. The problem with this is it's parallel to this branch at the moment. If that was gone. I think it's a difficult task. If I pick this one, my apex is going to be offset over here. If I pick this one, my apex is going to be more over top of the trunk line of the tree. It all depends on how I want this tree to look. And that's maybe the hardest part about bonsai, is predicting the future of, and styling a tree right from scratch. Is you have endless possibilities. But someday you have to lock the design down, and I'm partially doing that today. I'm picturing the canopy above or over here. I think I want the canopy above, a balanced tree, and then these branches will form foliage pads around it. So I think I'm going to stick with this as the leader, and I'm going to prune the other one off. It's a tough decision, but it's done now. The decision has been made. And then I've also have a branch coming out here, which can be a back branch, which I'll keep. I'll prune it back, and then I'll take this one off and this one off. So there I go. I have 3 branches and an apex. And I think it looks good. I think it's, you can imagine a crown on the tree now. So yeah, that's the pruning for today. Here is a look at the tree now from the distance. I'm liking it. I think it's a good looking tree. This was the stump from an air layer. So this big hole here is where the whole top of the tree was air layered off. And then I grew a shoot out that became the new trunk line, and I've been developing it through clip and grow ever since. So it started off as just a stump. It wasn't a very good looking tree. And for many, many years, it wasn't a good looking tree at all. And I think it's starting to become something special now. I think it's that hollow really gives it some interesting character. Yeah, so I've always liked this tree, and I just keep liking it more and more as it improves. I need to do some weeding. Around the back of the tree, you can see there's liverwort everywhere. So I want to pick that out, get rid of it. So I'll just get my tweezers and just remove it. This tree is due for a repotting, so once the weather warms up, it gets, early summer, I'll repot it into probably the same pot, just fresh soil. Okay, that's got the tree nicely weeded. The back of this tree is also very nice. It comes towards you. It's a good looking tree from the back too. However, from the other direction, it has more character. The roots are better. It has more scarring. And old scars can be really attractive on trees as they heal. This side is just, it's not quite as special, I think. It's very smooth and flowing. There's nothing wrong with this side of the tree. I like the fact it comes towards you, whereas this side, it's kind of leaning away from you. But that's something I can try and correct with the repotting. I can try and get the tree angled up a bit more if I can. Yeah, there's always, pluses and minuses to each side of the tree. And I think this is the better side, but both are quite nice. I've noticed on the branches, there's a lot of little bumps, and I think it's the early stages of scale insects. So I think I need to spray the tree with soap and water just to make sure it's insect free. I don't see any big blisters, but there just seems to be little bumps. It could be like mites or something is eating the branches. But I don't see anything on the backs of the leaves. So maybe it's not scale, but anyway, I'm going to spray it with the soap and water just as a preventative measure. All right, here I go, my soap and water. I'll start down low. So I'll let that sit for a bit, then rinse it off. Someone in the comments asked me, how long does it take to water all my trees? Well, this morning all my trees outside were dry, so I watered and fertilized them, and it took me probably an hour and a half to do all the trees out here. And these aren't all my trees. I still have a lot of trees in the plant room and the basement. So when all the trees are out here, it probably takes me a good 2 hours to water them all by hand, which is a lot of time. And if you do that twice a day, that's 4 hours of the day. However, I do enjoy watering the trees. It's nice to get them watered properly and thoroughly, and it gives you time to look at the trees and kind of enjoy them while you're still kind of working. I picked up a plant stand at the side of the road today. So here it is here. It's got shelves down here, a top. It's actually quite nice for free. So I put the maple on top of it. So I've got the maple here. And on the other side of the greenhouse, I have my birthday Scots pine, which is looking really good. You can see all the new needles coming out. So they don't grow much. These are sort of a dwarf Scots pine. This is about as much as they'll grow per year unless you really, really heavily fertilize them. Here's another shoot that's probably one of the longer ones. There's another candle here that's yet to open up. But yeah, it's a very compact growing tree. It'll take many, many years before this is perfected as a bonsai. The biggest step will be getting it into a bonsai pot or out of this massive pot. So I'm working on that. I'm hoping it's growing roots in this bonsai soil down here. Hopefully that's going to work, this top-down repotting method. So we'll see. Okay, back in the greenhouse to rinse off the Tiger Bark Ficus. So here I go. All right, here comes the rinse cycle. Okay, I think that's good. I've got the primary branches in place to form the canopy of this tree now, so it will be interesting to see how much it's developed by the end of summer. I think it should have quite a canopy by fall. I'll spin the tree around so you can see it from all angles, so here I go. Coming around to the right side, coming around to the back, to the left-hand side, and back around to the front. The nighttime temperatures are still quite low this time of year, so I have to bring all my tropicals into the heated glass greenhouse here, keep them nice and warm overnight, and then in the daytime they can go back outside. That is all for this Ficus Friday. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.